Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivracharya Astotara Shishimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Pramanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastha Bhutale Srimadi Tamal Krishna Goswami Namani. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastha Bhutale Srimadi Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavati Paschyata Desatarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Asta Praishu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikir. Hare Krishna. Good morning. So today's verse is 3:25-25. But before we recite that, a quick summary. The chapter 25, Canto 3, chapter 25, the Glories of Devotional Service. It opens with Shaunaka Rishi, one of the sages. In the beginning of first canto, if you remember, they were assembled at Naimisharanya forest, inquiring many things. So the chapter opens with him asking about, he wanted to know more about Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti. He wanted to know more. He said, tell me more, like that. So after Kardama Muni, the husband of Devahuti, he leaves her, after, you can say this is retirement, or we call in Sanskrit vana prastha. They take retirement. So then he said, all right, my dear, I've had enough, I'm gone. So then he leaves her there. Now while she was pondering as he left, she remembered Lord Brahma giving her a prediction. And he said to her that, your son will help you get liberated. And so she remembered that. Lord Brahma said that to me. So she approaches her son Kapila, who was at that time just sitting, and I guess he was chanting. So she, in a very cynical manner or in a sarcastic way, she said that she's sick of everything and she wanted to cut the ignorance that is holding her back in this material world. And she said, I want you to help me out. So therefore then Kapila Muni then explains the path of the devotees, especially the Adhyatmika yoga, where it is the yoga of the soul. Okay? And then he talks about bhakti as the only auspicious path. And there's various aspects of bhakti. Sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, that means regulations, how you practice. And then he also talks about, or rather highlights Raganuga bhakti, which is spontaneous devotional service also. So pretty much that's what the chapter is. So we'll do text 25. You can repeat after me. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshanada svapapargajatmani Shraddharati bhaktiranokramisyati Satam prasanga mama virya samvido Bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata Tajjosanada savaparvargavatmani Shraddharati bhaktiranokramisyati. Anyone wants to give it a go? Satam prasanga mama virya samvido Bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata Tajjoshanarasa apavargavatmani Shraddharati bhaktiranokramisyati Tatam prasanga mama virya samvido Bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata Tajjoshanatasa apavargavatmani Shraddharati bhaktiranokramisyati Tatam prasanga mama virya samvido Bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata Tajjoshanada sava apavargavatmani Shraddharati bhakti anukramisyati. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshanata savapavargavatmani Shraddharati Bhakti Anukramisyati. So we can repeat together the translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Okay. We can go through the word for word. Satam, of pure devotees. Prasangad, through the association. Mama, my. Virya, wonderful activities. Samvida, by discussion of. Bhavanti, become. Rit, to the heart. Karna, to the ear. Rasa ayanaha, pleasing. Kataha, the stories. Tat, of that. Joshanat, by cultivation. Ashu, quickly. Apavarga, of liberation. Vatmani, on the path. Shraddha, firm faith. Ratihi, attraction. Bhaktihi, devotion. Anukramishyati, will follow in order. Right. The translation Baba by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Anyone wants to read the purport?
Thank you. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth, because they do not associate with devotees. Because they do not associate with devotees, they cannot understand that the Absolute Truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the Absolute Truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories, because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees, and by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open, and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops a consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then, being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect.
Om Ajnanatamrandasya Jananjana Shalakya Chakshushanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Gariti Vachalam Pangum Langete Gurum Yadkipatamam Vande Shri Gurum Tena Tarana Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishwaran Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Savodito Gadodaya Pushpavanto Chitra Sando Tamanudo. This is a very nice verse. It's one of the main verses in the, you can say, in the Vaishnava tradition, in Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Without this verse, we can't really do many things. What I want to say is the root cause of devotional service is association. And association with sadhus. That's sadhu also. Or advanced devotees, actually. What is a sadhu? Who's a sadhu? You've heard for the last few days.
I know. So Krishna, my mind wants to say a pure devotee.
Okay, yeah, a pure devotee is
Peaceful,
a
calm
sadhu.
devotee, yeah.
Okay. They don't have to be peaceful, but yeah, we can accept that. Go ahead. Diamond?
One that's just focused on the liberation of the conditioned souls, basically.
One who's focused on liberation, yeah. When you say liberation, do you know what it means?
Yes, from the cycle of birth and death, going back to Godhead.
Going back to Godhead
Yeah.
and
getting out of the material world into the spiritual.
when you go back to Godhead, you are with God, so what are you going to do?
And of course, yes.
Yeah, you're going to
serve Him.
Yeah, you're going to
for
do
His pleasure.
loving service.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea. And it's the root cause of doing all that is actually associating with devotees. So how do you associate with devotees? Go ahead. Can't hear.
Like this.
Yeah,
You hear
like
about
this.
the activities of the Lord.
Yeah, just like this, come together. Right? The Beatles say, right? Come together. Right now. So we come together and then we have kirtans, right? Wild kirtans. Doesn't matter whether you can sing or not, just have kirtan for the pleasure of the Lord. And then you feel very happy also. And you don't know why, but you feel happy because it's your constitutional position to be serving and dancing in front of the Lord, so nice like that. Now, if in the verse satam, of pure devotees, you can also break it down to sat. The word S-A-T, sat, not sad. This is in Sanskrit, sat. Sat means existence. And then the opposite of that is asat. So asat means that which does not exist. That means if it doesn't exist and if it's still there, it must be temporary. Yes, very good. Temporary. And so the material world is also sometimes called asat because it is not always there. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's gone. Yeah. At the end of the cycle of creation, the different planetary systems are wiped out. Whenever Brahma takes a siesta, after afternoon nap, like that you can say, then there's some annihilation of planetary systems. But when he is at the end of his life, the whole universe is destroyed. So the world therefore is temporary. All these planetary systems are temporary. So therefore they are also known as asat. And people who deal and want to be in material world, and they like being in the material world, are also called, can't hear, asat. So therefore, their association becomes temporary or asat. It's not a good association. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what did he say? He says, what is that verse? Asat Sangha Tyaga E Vaishnav Achar. Okay? Asat Sangha, it's not good association. Sangha means association. Asat means not good. Because it's not a permanent thing. So Asat Sangha Tyaga means we give up. We become detached to such association, such materialistic association. So any association that is predominantly or geared towards material existence or material enjoyment is considered asat sangha association. Okay, we don't. A Vaishnava Acha, that means Vaishnavas are you and I. Yeah? We are all practicing to have a relationship with the Supreme Lord, learn how to reciprocate with Him, relate to Him. So as Vaishnavas, worshippers of Krishna or Vishnu, we don't want such association, asat sangha. So the Vaishnava achar. Achar means his behavior. So he behaves in such a way that he does not associate with materialistic association, which is asat. So now you can understand why we don't want to get entangled in those kind of things. Because it's not going to connect us with Krishna at all. The material energy has a function, just like each and every one of us, we have a particular nature and function within this context of society and so on. So material energy, she also has a function, and her function is to keep us all here, bound us. So the way she binds us, she uses the gunas. Gunas means robe actually, another definition of guna means robe. So there are three gunas, mode of passion, mode of ignorance and mode of goodness. So she uses that and binds each and every one of us. So sometimes you see you are very good, sometimes you are very naughty, or bad. Right? But not bad, because bad is good, no? Right? Like Michael Jackson, right? I used to be confused. Is it bad? Bad, man. You're so bad. So then that's cool. In the 60s, it was cool. Yeah. Right, Yogi? So anyway, so her job is to keep us here. Not that she wants to do this, but rather her job is to test us. Right? Just like if you need to be promoted to the next level in your high school, or if you need to go to college to be promoted, then you must pass certain things, right? So that's her role. She tests us. And she shakes us with different modes, and then you're bewildered and you don't know what to do. And the reason we don't know what to do is because we are in ignorance, in illusion. Okay, she has two potencies. One is avaranatmika shakti, which means she bewilders you. Like that. She does that and she bewilders you. And then you think, oh, this is so nice, right? So have you ever felt that, one day you feel, this is so bad, I hate life, I hate everybody. And then the next day you're totally okay with it, right? So that's the potency. And that works very, very subtly in this material nature. And so we have to be very careful. We have to be very perceptive, but on our own we can't handle this. And therefore you need, good association. You really need good association. Otherwise, who's there to tell you, hey, get up. Hey, look ahead, Right? Sometimes you walk blindly, right? The devotee will come and say, hey, wake up, you're in Maya. It used to be funny. When I first joined, everything, you don't do what they want, they say, you're in Maya, you're in Maya. Everywhere you turn quickly, make sure that they are not watching. You're in Maya. Every time it was Maya. But if you look carefully, actually, the devotees are our well-wishers. Why are they our well-wishers? Can't hear you.
They want us to remember Krishna.
Why do we need to remember Krishna?
Because we are eternally his parts and parcels, and we can only be happy if we remember Krishna.
Okay, yeah. We are eternally his part and parcel, meaning we are eternally his servants. And the example Srila Prabhupada often quotes is the fish out of water. I think many of you know that example, right? You can take a fish, now you can give the fish this Vyasasan and say, please sit here and give us a sermon. The fish will come here and sit down and say, I'm not happy, because it's not my environment. I don't feel good, You can give it a Rolls Royce, a golden cup, so many things, a cigar, everything that you think will make the fish happy. The fish will say, no. I can't have these things, so take it away. So in the same way, no matter what we try in this material world, we are just like the fish out of water. We can never be completely happy. It's not possible. Even if you feel a certain amount of happiness, that happiness is temporary. I said, that's right. It is temporary. And you realize immediately it's not working, right? And even if you get the best job, right, you're still not, You're still not the boss? Fulfilled, satisfied, yeah. You'll never feel satisfied. Because our nature is spiritual, right? So we feel complete when we are with Krishna, I don't know if you have come across the show where Tom Cruise says to his wife, you complete me, like that. So when you are serving the Supreme Lord, then you feel complete, like that. You feel complete. What is that complete feeling? That you feel a lot of raptures of happiness. Yeah. True happiness, it's not something, it's not a buzz that you get, when you just do. Those kind of happiness is different, it's temporary, again. Yeah. And it's not good also. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, and I had a colleague who was a very intelligent guy. He didn't need to study, We all have to study, and he'll just look at it, he'll just flicker and say, and then he'll score A's and 90% in the exam, just like that. And you may think he may be studying at home, right? No, he parties all day and all night, and he's always having pot parties, No joke, it was true. And then, and he got one of the best jobs. But the problem was, he could never come on time for his job, because he was high. The next day, he couldn't come on time. But they all knew that he is so good, so they tolerated for 1 whole year. And then finally they laid him off. And then as soon as he was laid off, another company said, he's so good, so they hired him. But he didn't last 6 months there. And finally he had to leave that entire city because everybody knew that. Yeah. So therefore, when you deal in material lifestyle and try to enjoy your material senses, invariably it leads to unhappiness. There's no permanency in material happiness. That's the phone. All right, so we can find, where do we find good devotees? Yes, Amrita. I mean, Punamrita.
At Krishna house.
At Krishna. I must give it a score 1 for her. Yeah, Krishna house. I was looking for the word Iskcon, you know. In Iskcon, because Prabhupada created this movement. And Krishna house is one of the umbrellas in Iskcon, you know. And he created because he is giving the society, people out there, the opportunity to get good association. Most people don't know what association means, right? If you stop a truck driver and you say, what's a good association? What would he say? Cody, my man?
Probably say something incorrect that isn't good association.
Yeah, you're a smart kid. But I want an answer.
If he's a truck driver, possibly a cold brew and hanging out with his friends at the bar.
Exactly. Because I've asked them, and that's exactly what they say. You know, have a big cold one, mate. You know, stretch our feet, right, on a table and watch TV, you know, sports. Right? The average American man only knows what? Football. Exactly, you know. Or, what's that? Basketball. Shoot the hoops, no? That's very funny though. But that's all they do, right? The whole week, right? Friday, I remember working, you know, my colleagues, Friday, they're like, oh wow, Friday, you know, it's great, man, Friday, let's go, you know, they'll tell me, let's go, you know, to the pub. I said, no, I don't want to go to the pub, you know, I can't stand the smell, you know, it just stinks. So I said, no, I don't go. But, you know, they said, no, it's so cool, you know, we get to drink, you know, we get to have a good time, man. So, no. So they would do that. And then what happens is they stay there whole night, you know, until like midnight, and then they stumble their way out of the pub, and then if they are not happy, they beat each other up. And then, I've seen it, been there and done that. No, not done that, but seen that. So then they get to go home in a cab or something like that. And then the whole Saturday, you call them for certain activities, they can never answer you. Because they are down for the count, you know. And then they get up around 1 o'clock, and then what do? They have a... I was in Australia. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhan Shri Shri Dajadantai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai. And so they always have the Barbie, mate. Let's have a Barbie, mate. You know? So they get up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then that's what they do. Barbecue. Huh? Yeah. And they sit there and also drink and watch sports. Exactly. Whole Saturday. And then the same thing Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon comes, they become very sad. Exactly. Very unhappy. They start cursing, you know. So that's the material life. Now, look at us, right? Right? We don't have such thing as Saturday. Saturday, you guys go out on Harinam. Jai. It's so much fun, actually, right? When you see new people, you connect with them, you give them a book, And they are so amazed, I remember doing books in a railway station one time. And then the people, many of them come and say, what you taking, What are you taking, Because I was holding the book and smiling and so on, right? That's the only way you attract, you wave at them, and they're like, what you taking? Why are you so happy? So that's all they understand, actually. But as devotees, we have a higher taste, actually, a spiritual taste that cannot be compared by mundane things, which is what this particular verse is saying about. And on top of that, we also discuss about the pastimes of Krishna, his associates and so on. Now, before Krishna goes to his cow herding job, right? He gets up early in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock. He gets up. Mother Yashoda opens the door and say, "Kanna, get up," Then he's like, "Ah." Actually, what she doesn't know is he just snuck in, He was out with the, with the cowherd girls. So he's like pretending, "Oh, I'm so tired, Mama." I said, "No, it's time to get up." So he gets up. He takes his, whatever old clothes, and then he puts it into this basket. And then he goes, and then he sits in the, I guess in the bathroom. He sits on the asan, and before he sits on the asan, his mom gives him some sweets, because otherwise he won't want to do anything. You got to tempt the little kid, right? You got to tempt him, so give him some sweet. So he takes a rich, thick, golden milk, condensed milk. So he takes that, and then he goes and sits down there. And then all his servants, they come and they put oil massage on his body, and he's feeling good. And then he has a nice warm bath. After bath, Mother Yashoda and the servants, they dry him up and then, put his stuff up, and he goes to his I think it's a dining table again, because his mom gives him more sweets, laddus and gulab jamuns and stuff like that. And then he eats. Exactly, that's what I said too. What? When I heard about that. And then after that, he says, "Mama, I want to go and play outside." And she said, you got to drink this juice. So he drinks, and then he goes out and he plays. And this is all before breakfast. So then she calls out, "Kanai, time for breakfast. Nanda Maharaj is waiting for you." Then he's playing. He's get so immersed in the games with his cowherd boys. He's like, "No, I'm not coming." And then she said, "Balaram, please drag your brother back." So they come in. And then guess what? She gives them more sweets. Too much. That's why you cannot eat like the deities. Okay, so don't look at the plates every time they are offered and think, "I want that, I want that." You can't handle it after a while. We give Krishna, at least here in this temple, 7 times offering. Okay, so the average person, maybe 3 times you can handle it. Mostly after the age of 40, you can handle 2 times. By the time you hit 70, maybe 1, you are lucky, I mean, proper food or something like that. So he takes the nice breakfast. His breakfast is not like us. This is very opulent. He eats very opulent, and he eats like that. So that's Krishna. And when you hear about that, then this is Bhavanti Rit Karna Rasayana. It's so pleasing to the ear and the heart when you hear about Krishna. So nice. And then he goes out for his cow herding job, right? Yeah. So his mother gives him a tiffin carrier with all the goodies, So she gives him all chapatis, samosas, kachoris, and then that's like different layers, and 1 layer of different sweets also. Don't forget the sweet. And butter. He likes sweets and butter. And then he has rice, a little dal, and then chapatis and so on. So once they go and during lunchtime, he doesn't touch his tiffin. He grabs his friends' tiffins. And they are all coming from, they consider them less fortunate than Krishna. So this is how they exchange all the food and so on. like that. So it's so funny and very pleasing to the, satisfying to the ear and the heart like that. And so it's so nice to have devotee association, right? Now, so whilst I was in Perth, we had a bhakta, and he was coming around daily, weekly, monthly, and then suddenly he stopped coming. So then we were thinking, what happened, So then we all got on our van, and then we went to his place, and we walked on his door. It was in the morning, so we knocked, and then he opened the door. Then he said, Bhakta so-and-so, why aren't you at the temple? We miss you, He's smiling. He's got his tilak, everything on, he's in his dhoti. He said, no, I'm doing it on my own now, because it's, And we said, really? Okay, so we went in, and then he had his offering on the altar, his nice offering. So we saw, and they said, what you offering? What did you cook? Oh, you can see I'm offering. So there were fruits and vegetables, So then one of the devotees said, hey, how come you're not eating any rice, any other grains? So then he says, then he quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, patram pushpam palam toyam, which means you only offer leaves, flower, fruit, and water, right? So then we looked at the tray and we didn't see any flowers. He said, where's the flower? Then he pointed at the cauliflower. So you can understand, right? If you want to, I guess he's one of the beginners of vegan diet, But, but it was funny though. When you go on your own and then you start to speculate, think that this is what it is, and the verses from the Bhagavad Gita, you think this is what it means, but actually with the devotees would tell you, nah, this is not how it is done. Srila Prabhupada knows Krishna very well. He didn't tell us to just eat vegetables, raw vegetables. I didn't tell you that, right? It was raw vegetables, That's what he was eating. And he had one apple and an orange there, So that's how he was, So association is of two types, superior association and inferior association. I made it easy for you, So superior association is when you associate with the devotees, you become very deep in your understanding of the scriptures, and you have taste. You develop taste, higher taste, which means you can push away asat, the material lifestyle, material sense gratification. You can easily push them away. The inferior association, also with devotees you can have, most you do is, you grab the japa bead and you go around chanting. That's all. You don't do anything else. You don't make any advancement. You chant. You are chanting. So you are at the stage of bhajana kriya. Whereas with superior association, you come to the stage of anartha nivritti. You give up all misgivings. You give up bad habits. Right? With devotees, you find that it is so easy to give up all your bad habits. It's so infectious being with devotees. Right? But if you don't have that kind of association or that form of relationship with one another, where you sit down and discuss like what we are doing day in and day out, about the intricacies of the practice of Krishna consciousness, the pastimes of Krishna, why is he like that, why is the sky blue, etc., like that. The more you think about it and more you ask, that's where you make conviction. And your belief and faith becomes stronger. And then you can understand Krishna. Prabhupada says, people say, where is God? Show God. But Krishna says, what is that? What is that? Raso varjam apsakantaya. I am the taste in water. Have you ever tasted water when you're so thirsty? It is so nectarian. Yeah, it's so tasty. And that taste is Krishna. So just like Krishna says, I'm the light of the sun and the moon. So that is Krishna also. So when you go out, well, maybe not today, but but generally when the sun is out, you can say, wow, Krishna is looking at me. Yeah. So that's how you connect with Krishna. And then you can see Krishna, actually. And so when you come and take the darshan of Krishna, you understand who you are seeing, who you're trying to connect with. It becomes a true feeling in your heart, a tangible understanding that this person is my eternal well-wisher. He's eternally my father. The connection becomes real. And then to become even closer, we become closer among our community of devotees. So that's how we generate these loving feelings, And then we get to understand how to practice nicely. That's superior association. Inferior association is just coming maybe once a week and then, hi, hello, starring so-and-so like that. And then guest star maybe like that. And then you go home like that. But there's no change of heart. The heart is not changed. The whole process of Krishna consciousness that Prabhupada has given us is to come, each and every one of us, as we go through the scriptures, as we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we have to see where I can change. How much I can change, right? What is holding me back from changing? Why don't I want to change? So those questions must come forth from yourself. If you don't, then you're not being introspective. It's important. That's what makes a person sadhu. So we come back again in a circle. That's a sadhu. Right? So he's thinking about his spiritual welfare. At the same time, he's thinking about the spiritual welfare of others. And by doing that, he gets closer and closer to Krishna. You don't really have to stand in front or go on the altar next to Krishna and say, I'm here. But you get closer by helping others get closer to Krishna. Okay? Right? I'm watching you, mate. Okay. And then real devotion, as it says, then real devotion and devotional service begin, because then it is not self-centered anymore. It's all about Krishna. Now obviously we cannot get close to Krishna, but we can get close to devotees, the sadhus. Yeah. So we serve the devotees also. So you find out the best way you can serve each other also. Because every little service you do for every little devotee adds up, and then you get to go home, back to Godhead. Hari Bol. Okay, I stop here. Comments and questions. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the wonderful class. So ours is a preaching mission, and because of that we generally have to go out in public. Even if we don't want, we get exposed to other people apart from devotees. So I would like you to please elaborate on how do we not get their satsanga.
Okay, good question.
And how do we protect our sangha?
Okay. So Srila Prabhupada's methodology works 100%. So his daily program is very important. That means you get up in the morning, right, for the Mangalarti. Now what is the purpose of Mangalarti? Purnamita is going to get an A for class.
To glorify the spiritual master whom without we can approach Krishna.
Yeah, very nice, yeah. And one other thing is to declare to Krishna that I'm your servant, eternal servant, yeah. So that's the purpose behind Mangalarti, yeah. So you attend those Mangalarti, and after Mangalarti, what do we do? Japa session. So japa is very important. And after japa, we do the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So all these are potent, you remember the 5 potent forms of devotional activities? So chanting, the deity worship, the Srimad Bhagavatam, staying, association with devotees and staying in the dham. So the temple is a dham, Krishna house is a dham. So if you can stick together and do it diligently, day in and day out, and when you go out, you can only give. So you cannot be influenced, nor can you take anything from them, because the taste is not great anymore. It's like, yeah, you know. So you're like, I don't want that. I'm happy where I am. Rather, I'm so happy I want to share what I have. So the program must be done very carefully. And if you do this program, you are successful. And nothing can touch you. Okay? All right, yes.
Hare Krishna. What is a practical way to get out of our self-centered, egocentric mentality to then serve those around us?
Okay, so it's a good question. You must have an authority. An authority figure you can listen to or submit to. That's the fundamental thing. When you move into an ashram, or if you go into the barracks of the army, the platoon sergeant will tell you, get up, get here, get there. You jump up. So in the same way, there is an ashram leader, and you must make friends with that person in the sense that he or she is looking forward to your welfare. Right? So once you are convinced this person is my well-wisher, then naturally you will be able to serve them. Okay, so that's one thing you need to try to somehow. If the ashram leader is not someone you can relate to, then you look for someone within the ashram who you can serve. Right? Yeah. Yes. Like the chipmunks, after you, after you.
I had a comment, but I just wanted to real quick go off. I wanted to really quickly go off of that. But I have another comment. I've been realizing that the service attitude just comes from service. Like you just have to push yourself to serve.
That's a very good point.
The taste will come.
Yeah.
But my comment was about material life, which I have a lot of experience in. And I was thinking of, you were saying, we hear so much we can't be happy here, and happiness is temporary. And I was thinking back to a time in my life where, I was surrounded with, asatsanga and everything. I was going to school, going to work, and had a relationship. And there was a point where I was, I just want to stay in bed all day. I don't want to do anything. And I just want to, watch TV or something. But then after you do that for a certain amount of time, you don't want to do that anymore. It's like, oh my God, I need to go do something. And so I would actually be like, I need to go to work. Like, I wish I was at work right now. Jai
Shri Radha Nilamado ki Jai, Shri Radha Giri Govardhan ki Jai, Shri Tai Chaitanya Shri Tai Gaura Chandra ki Jai, Iskcon Guru Vrinda ki Jai.
So I would go to work, and as soon as my shift would start, I'd be like, okay, this is good, I'm busy. And then I would, 2 hours in, I'd be like, oh my God, I want to go home. I want to go see this friend. And then after you spend a certain amount of time with that friend, you're like, when are you going to leave, Yeah. So it's just so it's so exhausting. I really relate to Devohuti. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
Yes.
And I was just thinking of this point, like we really need engagement. We can't just be like Krishna, getting fed sweets all the time. Like we need to be engaged according to our nature, which is
right. Yeah, that's why Krishna houses so many programs for all of you. Yes. Nice point, Evan. Yeah.
I kind of had a question. So
Closer your mic. Yeah.
I hear a lot that when you read Srila Prabhupada's books and the purports, you're directly associating with Prabhupada, a pure devotee, and even if the movement were to shut down, someone could restart it just from Srila Prabhupada's books. So someone might argue that all they need is Srila Prabhupada's books for their Sangha, and that they don't have to associate with devotees or go to the temple. And so, what would you really say to that?
See, it took Prabhupada so many years to actually start the movement. So if someone wants to talk like that, tell them to start a movement also. And then we can say you can stay at home and read the book after that, Simply by saying, yeah, I can do it, is not means the person is qualified to do it. Yeah. So such statements are just foolish statements, Actually, the person don't want to surrender. That's the reality. They don't want to have someone tell them what to do. It's using the whole philosophy. It's using Krishna consciousness against Krishna consciousness. So he's a demon. Yes, Poonam.
I appreciate that we first started talking about how everything is temporary. So my question is, to what extent can one enjoy or relish the relationships that we have if they're temporary? So if I have that in the back of my head, then I feel it's kind of like it'll just lead to impersonalism if I'm thinking, oh, this is just going to end, this is just, temporary.
You're right. We don't think like that, like you go home and you see your mom and dad say they are temporary. No. We have a relationship, The relationship in your heart, you should thank them because they brought you up to this stage where you took up Krishna consciousness. So you feel grateful for that relationship, for the love they shared with you. So for that, you can show love for that level of association. So that's okay. In associating with those who are not devotees, you give your association. But you don't take their ideas or their ideology and their behaviors as such. So when you practice so that you protect yourself, so that you are not contaminated by materialistic association. Okay? But it doesn't mean you can't have loving relationship or caring relationship. Yeah, you can have all of that. Yeah. All right? Yeah.
I was just wondering on what Arjuna was, his question. It seems like from my experience that I can't really even understand Srila Prabhupada's books until after I've engaged in service. Then actually the realization gets deeper as I come and associate with the devotees hearing from his books. So I was wondering, is it even possible for one to